Hello, and welcome to Mead Wargaming. I'm your host, Jay, and today I'm joined by my lovely team.
Joe.
Al.
And John.
Welcome all. And today we are going to be discussing Legions Imperialis once again, but we're going to be discussing the future of the Legions Imperialis game, Epic Gaming in general, and what we hope GW are going to do, but also what we, and hopefully the community at large, is going to do to make that game great.
Yes.
Because we really think it is a great game and a great system. Certainly some of us have been playing it infinitely more than 40k at this point.
Yeah. More accessible. I've not played it as much, but...
No, we've certainly been playing it a lot.
Oh, yes.
So it's definitely a big thing for us, and I think as our team, for the team going forward, really.
Mm-hmm.
We've got lots of big plans, but we won't go into all of that today. So, what I'd like to do is invite you all to a little section we like to call Tankard Talk. So if you'd like to join us over it in the Tankard Talk channel section in just a second. See you then. Okay, and welcome back. So it's time for Tankard Talk, and today on the chopping block
It's you.
So you get to take revenge on me now.
No, because it's not revenge on you, is it?
No,
Jamie,
I'm well prepared.
I feel like the actual question is...
What haven't you done?
How much do you have now?
In terms of legions.
Yeah, in terms of legions. Let's go in terms of legions.
In terms of legions, how much have I got painted, or how much do I own? Because they are slightly different questions. And I say slightly.
Both numbers scare me.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, since the recording last time, I think at the time of recording, I had roughly 3,000 points of legions painted.
Mm-hmm.
Which was the equivalent, roughly, of 2 starter boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Since then, I have gone up to about 10,000 points of painted models, including 4,000 points of knights, which I painted 3 weeks in the 3-week period of December, just before
Basically,
Christmas.
yep. He has been non-stop, pretty much.
That's what scares me.
Yeah.
And I still have probably another 2,500, 3,000 points yet to go. I'm looking at a grand total of somewhere between 12 and 13,000 points.
Okay. You could leave some painting for the rest of us, but you know what? I'm not complaining here.
I'll paint mine for me.
I mean, no. You guys can't see this on that side of the camera, but behind the camera is also shelving units worth of terrain that I'm also building at the same time as painting all this stuff.
Yeah.
Ready to put on the channel. So,
There's a chance.
I'm afraid, guys, you are going to have to paint your own models up and try and catch me up. Maybe not catch me up.
I was going to say, I don't think I'm going to be able to catch you up.
Maybe at least get an army.
Yeah.
So, you've painted a lot.
I painted a lot.
So it's not the same level of kind of like you know, what have you painted, prodding and that. What have you enjoyed painting?
Well, that's actually quite an interesting one, really, because that's what led to one of the big expansions recently. Because my favourite thing to paint was my initially in that first batch was the Warhammer Titans. At the time, I knew I enjoyed them, but I just thought that was a bit of a one-off novelty. But my first purchase after those 2 boxes were complete was, and it might be just about visible on screen, it might not be, is the War Master Battle Titan, the largest plastic kit you can get for Legions.
Which is very nicely painted.
And I had such a whale of a time painting it. It was good fun. And I think one of the things I really enjoyed about it was one model that I spent probably a few evenings on, and it was 750 points of models done. It was a great feeling to know that I basically painted a small army in a couple of evenings.
Yeah.
And I just got absolutely sold on this idea that big stompy robots are great fun to paint.
And some of your robots are good fun to paint.
And they're really easy for my style of painting as well. I like quick and dirty paint jobs, and when I can do 90% of the job in an airbrush, I'm happy. So that led me on to the idea, well, that's clearly, if that's what I enjoy painting, that's the kind of things I should be doing. So I immediately thought, knights would give me a bit more flexibility. So I thought, let's give that a go. I then
I did.
And
But to be fair, like in knights terms, like how many is that?
so that is what's that going to be? So no, that is 14 standard class knights. So 4 Acasta's knights, 4 Sorasta's knights, 6 Questoris pattern knights, and in addition to that, also 18 armigers.
So, even though they're technically all usable together,
Yep.
do we still get to bully you for changing factions?
No, because I very specifically designed it so that I actually have technically 4 armies. It's 1 army.
Titans, Knights, Humans, and
Alpha Legion.
Alpha Legion.
Do they? This is not the like all trying to catch up. This is a genuine question of like within the rules of Legions. Because I've not run mixed armies yet. Do the points match up to the point where you can run them collectively together, or
No. So if I was to strictly follow rules as written, what I'm allowed to bring, what I'm not allowed to bring, there is no way I could run them all in one go.
No.
Because currently, as it's spread, I almost have 3,000 points of solar, 3,000 points of 3,500 points of Titans, 4,000 points of Knights, and 2,000 points of Astartes.
and when you build a list, can you not do like the different attachments? But like,
No, because it's all based on points. You can only have 30% as allies.
right, okay.
Now, the way we intend to run it, and the way I've been running it with you,
Yeah.
just to allow us a little bit more freedom, is that we've kind of got we change it slightly so that we reduce it from 70 to 60 if you're only bringing 1 ally. So the majority of your army still has to be the primary.
Yep.
But your secondary can be up to 40%. It gives you a little bit more wiggle room because that 30% means you can't take Titan.
Yeah.
You can take 1 in most games.
Yeah.
You can never bring more than 1, which feels a bit naff.
So is your primary now Titans supported by like other things?
It could be.
Well, when we...
Sad. It depends on the game. The other option is that if we're going to run more than 1 ally, that reduces it. The primary has to be 50%.
Mm-hmm.
Because then, even though it's technically less, every army above 2 means that the percentage breakup still makes that primary look significantly larger than the others.
Yeah.
So that's the way we're gonna do it, because it allows you a bit more freedom in adding extra armies. I'm also aware that myself and you, and probably you, like to run lots of different armies and have mixed forces. I'm not sure about how you're going to do with your Eldari stuff, but it'll be interesting to
there's not
see.
really. I don't think there's anything I can think of off the top of my head.
Harlequins?
Drakari.
There are options. So,
Yeah.
you know, it'll give us freedom to be able to have multiple armies. You know,
It would be fun to just have a little detachment of pirate ships that come on.
so it will be it provides a little bit more interest, I think. So yes, strictly speaking, even under my new rules, I couldn't actually run everything.
No.
But it does give me lots of options.
Just have to share with the rest of us.
You just have to share. I mean, one thing that will be great is when I'm teaching as well. I can I've got 10,000 points. I can go, right, cool. I'll take the knights. You take that. Done.
Yeah.
And there may be a concept where I do chuck on all 10,000 points on the table at some point. And see what happens.
That's too many Titans. So,
It's not enough Titans. I've got many plans for more Titans.
yeah, I'm just looking at the War Lord Master.
That's the War Master up there.
Yeah.
I've still got my Imperator to do yet as well.
You still have your Emperor.
Custom build I'm making out of 40k kit. Which I'll then have to make some rules up and point out. But yes.
I'm still looking at the cathedral that's going to be on the back of it.
Yes, that's going to be an
Me
interesting
too.
one. I haven't quite worked out how I'm going to do that quite yet, but I'm thinking I might build the platform out of some plastic card and do that by hand.
That'll be good.
And then actually make some 3D assets to print off to actually build up the structure.
Are you doing it out of the Questoris or the
Dominus.
the Dominus? Is it the Dominus? Cool.
Because Dominus has a flatter.
I was going to say, yeah,
canvas.
I couldn't remember whether you said it was the Dominus or the Questoris.
Yeah, so that's the idea.
If you still leave it magnetized, you could then just have it in if you want to do a Dominus in 10.
I did think about that. Problem is if I run the knights in 40k, which I am tempted to do at some point, I would probably want to match them in with my knight army, which also means that it won't match the colour schemes at all because it will be painted up in a type of colour scheme.
Also, the bases with the tiny.
Yeah, and then there's the bases, and then the scale bit.
okay,
It would just be a pain in the ass. So I
tiny
wouldn't be doing
tanks on a 40k scale.
They're just like toy tanks.
that. So we were. I did think about it. I genuinely thought, should I try and also magnetize this to work in both systems?
Magnetized accessories on the bottom, so you can take off and put different
I did.
different scale accessories on the bottom.
I even played around with the idea of actually magnetizing it to the base.
That would probably be easier. Have two different
Yeah.
bases.
Yeah, that's so much easier.
I like my idea.
I do
It's a
too.
terrible idea. That's why I like it.
But I decided that might be more effort than it was realistically worth, especially as someone who is just not playing 4K at the moment.
Yeah.
To be honest, as much as I like the idea of if I do get back into 4K, I will build a knight army, the reality is I'm probably just going to... When I've got some free time, I'm just going to start working through my pile of shame for 40k. And get through that and just build up the army.
the pile of shame that has taken up an entire shelving unit.
Technically, only 2 shelves of the shelving.
Yeah, but, you know. And then
In
you were
fairness,
judging me
Legion,
about
my
mine,
Legion stuff, I painted everything before I got new stuff, apart from Christmas.
Doesn't count.
That doesn't count.
Christmas doesn't count.
So my pile of shame has gone from virtually 0 before Christmas to massive again.
Yeah.
But at the rate I paint, hopefully it'll be done before the end of February.
It is kind of nuts. Yeah.
I think it has to be like at least a month before it becomes a pile of shame, right?
Yeah. I get a little grace period.
Yeah.
So my goal is I will paint everything up before I buy anything else from today.
From today.
Technically, that was a re-gift.
Yeah, no, you're right. It doesn't count.
It doesn't count.
You just add it to L's instead.
Technically, I added a little bit to yours. So yeah,
But
I technically haven't bought anything new since Christmas. So I'm going to paint and build everything I've already got. My first job after that will not be to buy another kit. It will be to build the Imperator.
That will be exciting.
And I probably will do some kind of recording for that as well, and show you guys the process as well.
Yeah.
So hopefully that'll be quite cool.
Well. Yeah. No point in trying to bully you about stuff unpainted. You've got way more painted than the
he's
rest
always
of us.
a busy bee.
I'm afraid I don't think you could bully me for the fact that I've painted more than all 3 of you combined.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. That's factually accurate.
I've painted 3 tanks.
Is that 3 more tanks?
That's the same 3 tanks.
Oh, your Tankard Talk next month better be better than that, because otherwise you're in real trouble.
It depends whether the builders get out of my garden. Can't get in there at the moment.
Paint around them. It's fine. So yeah.
Yes.
Well, I just look forward to the next Tankard Talk where you go, so last time I spoke I had 10,000 points, and this time I now have 100,000 points. I have a problem. There's no more room in the house. It's full of Legions models.
No.
I'm
No.
not,
We've actually stacked everything just off camera.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, I've already thought I need another unit to put it all in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because that's full. And actually none of my Legion stuff is on display because I can't fit it in there.
He has too much.
In fact, that's the only Legion model that's on display because I cannot fit them anywhere else.
You don't need like a Legion display. You need like a little roving like magnifying glass, so you can like put it wherever you're trying to like focus in on. Make them big.
Yeah. I ain't got enough space. Any more space.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Big board on the back wall with magnets. Magnet diorama.
I saw the most insane display of somebody's Empire army, which was so given away, but it looked like a picture, but it was a diorama of their army, and it like was set into the wall, and then it would slide out like the whole diorama would slide out of this like cavity in a wall. And you could take like all the models out. But when it was pushed back, it looked like it was a picture.
That's
That's cool.
that feels like something I want us to build one day.
It was insane. It was absolutely insane for how, like just how good it looked.
That's channel goal right there.
Yeah, it'd be like that would just be like looked like a picture until you like opened it up and slid it forward.
Not gonna lie though, if we ever did that, I'm guaranteeing you we didn't paint it. We paid someone to paint it.
I think we'd all die if we had to do that.
If I had time, you paid. If I was paid, I would sit and paint all day.
Well, I know what your job's going to be once we start making.
Let's go.
You will be our painting artist, our modelist.
Just chained to a desk. Be like, oh. Be fine.
In fairness, I do actually enjoy. I do enjoy painting the Legion stuff.
The thing that's gotten to me with, and this is slight spoilers for my one, but like going through and I've been like, I've got just a box full of them, and I just pick up one and I'm like, black. It's just a repeated loop over and over again with the infantry.
The infantry are the hardest part, without a doubt.
Which I'm kind of getting out of the way.
Yes, they are.
But
Which is why I want to get them out of the way first.
The fact is that they are the hardest part in terms of laborious nature of them, but they are tiny. They are quite quick.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, although I do go through and I'm like, I'm just going to make sure I get the back bit of the shoulder pad to make sure that that's painted in black as well.
Whereas doing like the vehicles and the Titans and the Knights, they're fun to do because they're quick. Yeah, you can do most of it with dry brushing and washes.
We can talk more about that in the next section, though. Once we have...
I mean, it's not really going to be the topic, modelling, so to speak, but it might get there.
With the vehicles, because I'm in the process of doing mine. I've left them all painted silver. I'm going to do the armour panels like painted on top of that. Is that how you'd recommend doing it? Because I did a couple where I sprayed them in like the base colour they're going to be, and I was like, actually, there's more silver on there than there is not, so I'm going to have to go back and do a load of silver on it now. I'm just wondering, how did you do it for yours?
What vehicles? Because
Let's take the...
Well,
Sakara.
Kratos.
Oh.
It does very much depend. So, like on my auxiliary army, I literally sprayed the whole thing room-board, washes, and then did everything afterwards. Because the vast majority of the models are that colour. With the Legions tanks, the Astartes tanks, they were lead belcher and then hand brushed on predominantly the Achaean green.
Cool, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, and then obviously the Knights, that was all metal, but then hand painted the arm panels, which actually you would think would be the thing I hated the most. Yeah, it's not too bad.
I have found myself going back to thinking about Knights. I've got some Knight files, but now I find myself unsure about the files. Because seeing the ones with the trim, I feel like we need the trim to break them up.
They are really good in game.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I want the Knights.
You do.
I just wanted like good files for them, so good options to them. So anyway,
All right, well, let's wrap up Tankard Talk. I think that was quite a lengthy one, but to be fair, there was a lot to cover. Yeah,
10,000 points worth.
technically 6. Probably.
we'll see.
6 new points.
Anyway.
Moving on indeed. So, we'll see you over in the main section in just a moment. And welcome back. So, thank you for the grilling, guys. It's kind of reverse grilling, really. But it's kind of reversal there for a change.
Anyway.
Today's topic, as mentioned earlier, is going to be Legions Imperialis and the future of epic gaming in the Warhammer 40,000, 30,000-ish however we decide, wherever we decide to set it.
35,000.
It's the difference, you know.
So, in terms of Games Workshop, 30k setting, the Horus Heresy setting.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
We are setting ours primarily in the modern era.
Mhm.
I'm not sure my army really fits in there, seeing as I have...
It'll be fun. There'll be
Okay.
ways to make it work.
Yeah.
Wouldn't worry about it.
As long as I get to have my little guy, it's okay.
I've already got a
There's
plan
plans.
for that, so that's fine.
Oh, interesting.
In fact, that plan works even better based on your plans.
I look forward to hearing about that.
But yes, that's not really the topic for today. The topic for today is actually we're going to go through what we think Games Workshop might add to the future of Legions Imperialis
Should
in the new year. We are, as of recording, only just in 2025.
Just about.
Probably by the time you see this, it'll probably be near at the end of the first month. I
Yeah.
would have thought.
Yeah.
However, there are also things that we would like to see added beyond what Games Workshop's likely to add.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Some of those things we're going to add ourselves.
Mhm.
We're actually going to create and make a few changes to the game system that we feel is appropriate,
I mean, in all fairness, we've already started.
and we have already started. In fact,
So-
some of them we've already mentioned before.
Yep.
Some of them we've actively been using since then.
Mhm.
And we've also got new stuff that we haven't even tested yet. And all of these things will be released to you guys for free at some point in the nearest future. I'm working on a documentation that I'll release online, which you'll have access to. So you can use them as you see fit, and obviously do comment feedback as well, either through that or through this video or any other video. But we also are hoping that there will be other communities out there that will also build on that idea.
Mhm.
I mean, we are going to be using rules from other people as well, particularly for like your older army.
Yeah.
That's gonna involve rules written by somebody else. Whether we decide that we won't want to make changes to that is up to us. You know, at the end of the day, community rules. The benefit is we can change them.
Any rules technically you can change. It's not like we're taking these to tournaments or things like
No,
that.
no, we're definitely not.
Not doing anything official, so we can break and bend them as we will, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we are primarily going to be sort of building on the narrative perspective of the game anyway. So
Absolutely.
breaking the rules is kind of going to be part of the fun, really. But you know, there are some things that we're changing for mechanical benefit as well. Yeah. There's an interesting one I'll point out later, which involves void shields and titans.
Of course it does.
Slight lack of void shields on the warlord.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah.
But anyway, I'll mention that very briefly later on. It's only a minor point. So I think first of all, what we should do is let's have a quick look back at the last sort of year in Legions as we've seen it, because we collectively only really got involved in Legions probably halfway through last year, really.
Yeah, about 6 months ago, I'd say.
Yeah.
It was
Start of summer, maybe?
definitely halfway through-ish. I don't think any games were played before the summer,
No.
Certainly not.
Certainly not, no.
because I don't think even we tried before the summer.
No.
There is. I mean, to be fair, when we decided we were pivoting to Legions, is recorded. We can find the recording. There is literally like
That's not strictly true.
Was there not?
No, because we recorded that episode, but didn't, because of certain events that happened last year, it didn't get released for about 3 months.
Yeah, what I mean is, we can go back. Like, we could, to a certain degree, work out when that was.
We could potentially work it out.
But there is live reaction of Jamie being flyers, you say. How many flyers is there? I'll be like, oh, lots.
I forgot to mention the 24 flyers that I have acquired recently.
Have you got any of the Space Marine ones?
No, none of those.
Okay, I can
No,
get
that's not true. Yes, of course I do. I have an entire airwing. Including things that will get mentioned because they're new units.
It's time to stop. It's time to slow down.
I'm never going to slow down.
No.
I am not Horus. I will unleash my legions.
And this is, but like, I feel like at some point you need to sit down and like go. Oh, you don't actually have that many Alpha Legion by comparison.
No, I don't.
Like you're not at the stage where you can be like, I actually have a full company made.
Oh no, I have a full company.
Sorry, not campaign.
I don't
Chapter.
think full chapters were, isn't it?
The company's pretty quick to get to.
Yeah, company's only like 200.
Yeah.
But bad.
So yeah.
Yes.
So Legions, less than half a year.
Less
I
than half
just-
a year for us.
Yeah. I just had a quick little look. The earliest photos that I put on our social media was the beginning of July, so it's been round about 6 months.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah,
we've
because you
been
got that
focusing
starter box and you painted it pretty quick.
I painted
You
the first
had-
one very quick.
You had that first start box painted up, I think, in a week.
Yeah, I painted the vast majority of it.
You got really, really into it very, very quickly, and then once you painted it all up, that was when we played
started.
our first game, I believe.
Yeah.
So about 6 months in for us. Obviously, Legions has existed a little bit longer than that. I think we were probably about 6 months behind. I think or something.
Yeah.
Like that. It wasn't.
Quite
It
probably.
might not even have been that long actually. And our introduction was quite slow in terms of getting into it. I think.
Yeah.
Well, certainly from your episode, I kind of dived headlong in with
Yeah.
star boxes, but that's kind of just me. I think. I don't do things by halves.
No.
So the experience so far has been overwhelmingly positive. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The game has been, from what I can see, well supported in terms of there's been consistent releases in the last 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, nothing massive, I don't think, in terms of new stuff, with one very glaring exception.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a bit lost on that point. Is that another thing? What wasn't successful?
No, what was new additions?
Yeah.
So, all Lehman Russ variants, Sakaran variants,
Yep.
There's been one announced recently.
a bunch of saber tanks,
Yeah.
three
Of course, yes.
3 full books, or additional rule books,
And the entire Mechanicus and Dark Mechanicus.
and then the major
Oh!
one, the major one being the
Yes.
Mechanicus,
Marek.
Dark Mechanicus, and the
Sorry,
first
yes.
ever Dark Mechanicus models.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'd say reasonably well supported for what is, quite frankly, a niche within a niche.
It's an offshoot game, but it's definitely seeing support from GW.
Which is good. Good to see that it's not being supported.
Yeah.
And it's in a lot of stores quite prominently as well, which
Just needs a
is
little
nice.
bit bigger of a section.
It does in the Games Workshop stores
Yeah.
that we've seen so far.
Yeah, I've seen it in other specialist stores.
Yeah, like the independent stores.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They tend to have a bit more of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it does seem to be it does have its following. I know a lot of people in our local game store are. I've spoken to the managers there, and they said that they know of a decent group of people that are all getting into it, but they're taking their time to get it all started because of the. It took a long time to get people into it because of the way it was released initially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think it was I know there was initially like a little bit of like a. What I think was described as like a little bit of like a pushback against when it first came out. Because the editions of Epic it was drawing from were not the popular edition. Like Epic Armageddon was like the one that people to this day are still playing. Like there are still tournaments that are being run regularly based off the Epic Armageddon. And they said they are rolling back to the second edition of Epic, I want to say, something like that. Like they specifically said they were rolling back to more of that kind of edition. Which I know, from what I heard via various places, is kind of like, it's not the one that everybody's playing, but honestly, what like the rule set they brought out, we very quickly realised being like, oh, this is a really good rule set.
it's a phenomenal rule set.
I mean, it added in the one thing that we have all agreed, in general, is an improvement on gaming terms of thing activations.
Yeah.
I love the order system as well.
The order system is really good.
Really, it just works. There's a couple of tweaks I want to make to a couple of them. Actually, only one of them, actually. that's the fullback stuff.
Yeah.
The only real one that I think needs a little bit of adjusting, but other than that, works great. Universal rules work great.
The thing that I love every time I think about that game, and something that I'm like, I kind of wish they would bring into 10. No stratagems.
Yeah.
I don't have to think about when am I going to do this thing. Oh, I've got these points that I may wish to like.
Yes, they've admitted stuff that didn't need to be there, which was fair enough, and it does work.
I like the fact that the army rules are dulled down a little bit as well. So you have like one thing that your army can do, and that's it. That's the only thing that you really have to like focus on is that. And I think that is a really good. Yeah, I think that's a good part of it.
I'm not gonna lie, the biggest winner for me, as much as I've already been on in this video about Titans and Knights, the flyers work.
Yeah, I know.
They work.
They're so
They
good.
work. They work exactly how I would like them to work.
They're so good.
They are good, but they're not overpowered.
No.
They are so not overpowered.
Especially with some of the rules that you've made for our flyers as well. Which one it is that you've made rules for.
I made rules for a Stormbird.
But even the flyers that have rules that are already established, they're very fair. They're not overpowered. They don't have up to amount of wounds. They've still got like a couple of wood shields, so you've still got that little barrier that doesn't make them too easy to take down. They're not?
No.
Oh.
Only the ones that I made, and that's only because they're big special ones.
Oh, well, yeah, that checks out.
Thunderhawk not having it. Oh. Just a bit tanky.
Tanker.
But yes.
As Mead Hall's #1 flyer hater,
Certified flyer hater.
they work exactly how I want them to. Come on, do their thing, get off, get real vulnerable if they do stay on.
Yeah, no, it's that alone is a winner for me. I can run my big flyer wings and no one can complain.
They work at the right scale. Like that. It's a scale that makes sense. Like they don't make sense at the 28 scale. Well, yeah. Yes.
Almost tanks.
100%. I agree.
Yeah.
So what you're basically saying is we need to remove everything apart from infantry.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you look
good luck selling that to everybody.
Well, but if you going off topic here with it, but if you look at the push from like, okay, your start collecting nowadays is combat patrols, and combat patrols are phasing out any vehicles.
Yeah, I don't think that's anything to do with game mechanics. I think that's to do with they don't want to give you too much discounts on big plastic products.
But I could see an argument in favour for getting rid of the vehicles because like, but yeah,
I mean, I don't even care that much at the moment. I enjoy Legions too much to really care.
You can have lots of tanks and it works.
I love tanks, but I don't love a tank more than I love a Sakaran, because I have to say that the last game that we played, I was very impressed with them because they lasted until pretty much the bitter end, even though he completely annihilated me like usual when I play against Jamie because he's ruthless. Whereas the game before, I didn't use them very well and they died during the first turn. And I think I've learned now is that when I play against Jamie, I have to remember that he does not take it easy, and that he will always.
You never know if you take it easy.
No, that's never gonna happen. I know it's never gonna happen, but I do like them. They have like, I feel like they're one of those things that it reminds me of. That little 40k vibe where it's like, if you have this thing, you're going to blow stuff up. And then, they're probably my favourite, and I want to get some Lehmans as well, because I miss having them, because you certainly had an advantage by having 2 groups of those in that game, I believe.
I mean, that wasn't an advantage, that's just the models I had, but
yeah.
Anyway, let's we don't want to focus too much on the individual models necessarily.
No, sorry, I just I had to put my 2 pence in about this.
So let's focus back around. So
Yep.
we've seen support coming out for rules and models.
Yep.
For Legions, which is good. So let's kind of put ourselves into the prospect, or put ourselves into the future a little bit, and think about what we'd like to see GW do next with Legions, both in terms of rules or supplements, but also models. What would we like to see? And obviously, we need to keep in mind for now. This will get mentioned later, that we are in the realm of 30k.
Yep.
And I'm also going to point out that it was mentioned in one of the previous preview shows, I think, by Games Workshop, that everything released in plastic for the Horus Heresy will be released in Legions, and vice versa.
Yep. Which does mean that eventually they're going to get really big Dark Mechanicus models.
Potentially. Well, not even potentially. Theoretically, based on what they've said, they will be getting them.
They will be getting really big Dark Mechanics.
There's some big boys.
I mean, but in fairness, in terms of plastic, they're not that big. Like, the profile they take up is quite a lot, but actually in terms of plastic, because they're quite spindly big spiders, it's not actually that big.
I know, but like...
So that the
There's
boxes
still
probably
like
won't be
Titans.
huge.
Like,
They're not anyway.
No.
When we
they're
say
more like
big,
knights.
oh, yeah, Knight, sorry.
when we say big, how big are we actually talking?
It would be like knight. They'd be
Yeah,
like knight
they're
size.
like night scale.
What, like 40k nights?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay. Wow.
They're gonna be big boys.
And those are the
Big
only
boys.
those are the only models we've seen so far. And I'd be willing to bet they're not the only ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it'd be good to see, just whilst we're on the topic of like the Dark Mechanicus, it'd be good to see more out of that, because at the moment it very much feels like Mechanicus, and then you can add in some Dark Mechanicus.
Sadly, I think that will be the case going forward. Certainly for
Yeah.
now, because 30k is very much early Dark Mechanicus.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think it would be unrealistic to expect to see anything else. If they become a 40k thing, Dark Mechanicus obviously, then we might see some more weird and wacky stuff and becoming their own thing with their own infantry styles and stuff like that. But I don't think we'll see that for 30k. As a result, I don't think we'll see that.
Okay.
But yes, I appreciate that as a design.
But if we're going off of, if unless anybody wants to go first, I have my what I would both like to see and would expect to see as the next. We've done Mechanicus. My money on the next faction, Custodes.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
And Legions. Ooh.
Because that was where they started. Weren't they? Like, the Custodes, when they, like, at least, I know at least for a fact the Sisters of Silence models were sold as Horus Heresy models.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether the Custodians were entirely, or whether it was one of those things that, like, where they made the sprues and they released them both at the same time.
Yeah, I think Custodes definitely were.
Because I thought the Custodians were part of that release for the Burning of Prospero, I want to say, because the Sisters box still comes with a transfer sheet for Space Wolves and Thousand Suns.
Oh.
Mm.
But Custodians are the ones that I would want to see added in. So, Custodians. Not the Alarus, but what the other ones? There's the other.
Oh, yes. The
I don't remember what the other one's called.
it's gone. Had it briefly.
The other Terminator.
The other variant on the Terminator.
Yeah.
The various types of Dreadnought. Your three flavour sizes of Dreadnought, which are due to be made into plastic. Because at the moment they're Forge World resin, and everyone knows that everything that is Forge World is kind of going away. And they're the only ones that you can still even really properly play in 10th edition. The expectation is they'll eventually come to plastic. I think that would be...
We've already seen a precedent that we, as Legions players, might see that first.
Yeah. That would be the joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we got Dark Mech first. So it is possible.
But yeah, I would be Custodes in there, and moving it back around to there is a bit of art which I've been looking at and being like, I can still run Custodians. Because there's like there's somebody who's been doing like a series of like for each Primarch having like a Custodian like group that was with them and like a unique kind of like set of like armor for each one. So regardless of the faction, it's the idea of being like every single one of them still had Custodians that were loyal to them.
Okay. Interesting idea.
Like slightly themed up around them. But yeah, Custodes.
Custodes. Yeah.
Jet bikes. The Ventari, like basically just the entire Custodian range.
Which is not large.
Which is not massive.
You got the transport tanks.
I was going to say that's where it'd be interesting, is to actually see like Custodian
And you've
armor
got that
columns would be
big.
interesting. They got that huge flyer. I think.
Yeah.
Maybe if they redesign that a little bit.
Yeah, they're not-
Big Dorito.
I can't say I'm a massive fan of the design style for Custodian vehicles myself, but
Most of the vehicles, fine.
I don't like it.
The big flyer, no.
I don't like any of them.
Actually, no, I don't like the tank either.
The only thing I like are the bikes.
You could do the there's a design for like the Sisters of Silence, like transport ship as well that they've got a transport flyer, which is like a segmented, like armored, almost looks like a beetle kind of thing.
Yeah, is that the almost like a mining drill?
But it's a flyer.
Yeah,
I can't remember if it's got mining drill on like the front. Yeah,
I don't think it is a mining drill. I think it comes open.
It'll be. I could see that being very cool. Very.
I could see and I could see that happening.
I fully with you. I think that will happen. I don't think that's an if. I think that's a when.
Yeah.
I'll be very curious to see how the rules work for that.
Yeah.
Because the temptation will be, I think, is because obviously I want to sell models, really, is you're going to have an army of Custodians. But I almost feel, because of the scale and the lore, this is the opportunity where they can say, oh, no, you have small squads of Custodians. But they take on armies.
Yeah.
Like,
That would be.
so
really cool.
the Custodes army for Legions is small, but you only need like 2 tanks and like 3 squads of infantry, and you've got an army.
Yeah.
Like you make them elite.
Like a squad of Custodes can sit there and take an entire Rust Squadron's firepower and still walk out of the smoke.
It's a 25mm base, and there's a single Custodian Terminator on the top of it, and it'd be like, what you gonna do? It's just one guy. But
I'd
sure
win.
you're gonna risk it?
I feel like they're probably definitely going to not do one model per base, but I think they could do 3.
Yeah, I was going to
Three,
say
yeah.
3 is probably the magic number for them.
Yeah, you just have 3 Custodian Guard or 3 Terminators on a base, but also only have a few bases per unit.
Yeah.
Like the minimum detachment size could still just be 1 base.
Yeah.
Because
3 Custodians and just be like, yeah, they would.
and that's the equivalent of like a Terminator regiment. It's like, oh no.
Yeah,
That would be so fun.
And again, it still would work in Legions because you could still have those 3, Terminator Custodians, but they're still not killing the tank
No.
But yeah.
because they're not going to be able to shoot it down. I mean, they will probably be able to melee it down eventually, but it's still going to take them time. So it still works because you're not worried about these like super strong things suddenly being able to nuke a Titan with a few shots, like they can sometimes do weirdly in 40k.
If they come out, I am going to try and out-melee a Titan.
It's not hard.
I'm going to go up in size, and we'll start with the Warhound, and then we'll just work our way up until...
Honestly, melee against Titans in Legions is actually the most efficient way of killing them.
You say the most efficient way of killing them, but how many Assault Marines would I have to chew through?
How many do you have to chew through? Or do you mean
How many would I have to keep throwing, like, bodies against them?
I mean,
How many did it take for me to take down the arena in our last game?
didn't finish it in combat, but I mean, that was an 8 base. 8 bases did 3 wounds to a Titan.
And I think I had
And that,
2 bases
there was
alive after it was dead.
Wow. So maybe...
But even then, it doesn't feel like that's unrealistic. Because if you think, like,
they're trying to take Titan. Like, yeah, it makes
If
sense.
you think they go up to Titan, they like jump on, climb up, grab at some like crucial bits.
Melee is probably the most efficient way of doing it. Infantry struggle, obviously, to survive it, but enough bases will do the job. Knights are actually very good at melee against Titan, especially if Titan doesn't have melee weapon on its own.
Yeah.
The Lancer ones. So yeah, my vote is, and my expectation is Custodians.
Yeah, I think that's probably a reasonable stab in the dark there.
Yeah, it's a pretty well illuminated stab in the dark.
I think that's a good option.
I would
there.
absolutely want to do Custodians.
I would be that would be one where I would actually just immediately just buy the box of them.
Yeah.
Like I have toyed with the Admech one. I would just buy the box of the Custodians.
I'm not going to lie. If the Custodians came out and they didn't do the rules like I want them to do, I'd be very tempted to say, do you know what? This is one of those occasions where we just rewrite the rules.
I think they probably do the rules like that though.
I would like to think so. And to be fair, from what I've seen, their rules are quite accurate to what they should be. So hopefully they will do something like that.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think the counterpoint to that is they are going to want to sell models,
Yeah.
and therefore they're going to want to encourage you to buy more. So they're going to have less
Bigger range. Just make more different units.
Yeah, but then they got to try and sell them 40k and stuff like that.
I still reckon
It'll be interesting.
the current Custodian range released into Legions, even if it was 3 per base, like, yeah, I still reckon. Well, to be fair, you like, there's actually nothing that says you can't run one Marine on a base, other than visual elements.
No, but it's the rules element. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like a single base of Custodians should be probably the equivalent of like 10 bases of any other faction.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't think will happen. I'd like to think it will, but I doubt it.
We'll wait and see, because I feel like that is almost like a guarantee that it will eventually come out.
Yeah. Okay, so any other factions? Do you have any idea?
Oh, I'd love some official Eldar to come out.
Okay, right. Well, we'll come back to that one. Let's focus on what we think might actually come out.
Yeah, in
It
30k. In
could.
30k.
In 30k. Any
I don't know about
idea?
I
Doesn't
don't.
matter that they're about in the 30k. It's Horus Heresy setting. There wasn't many Eldar involved in the Horus Heresy.
I don't think mine is like the thing I want to come out is realistic, to be honest, because my thing for Legions to come out would be itty bitty Warhawks, and I don't think.
No,
Yeah,
I think that's quite realistic.
Not only do I think that's realistic. In the first ever post of Legions, they referenced mini Primarch.
Yeah, they did their little FAQ where they did like,
It's not even-
will there
it's-
be Primarch?
It's not even in that. It's like literally in the first ever article.
Yeah.
They mentioned it.
And they did
Wow.
their cheeky little, wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah. So that's actually not only realistic. I think that's a guarantee. Again, it's a
Yeah.
bit like the Custodians. I think that's a
Okay.
guarantee.
There's
Then
definitely
in that
It's
case,
just how they do it.
I think that out of the Primarchs, the one that they would probably release first would probably be Gilliman. Because the Ultramarines are...
Well,
really?
Hang on.
The
No.
Ultramarines are so popular.
Hang on. Let's scale this back a little bit. And we may have covered this slightly on the Legion video anyway. I can't remember exactly.
We have spoken about this before, multiple times.
But I don't know if we've done that on camera or not.
Yeah.
Can't remember now.
It's worth doing
this
anyway.
this might be repeated content for some of you. Apologies, but I think we need to scale that back to how we actually think the Primarchs will be released. Because don't forget, in terms of Legion scale, they're going to be on a small 25mm base in this one model,
Yeah.
I think they're either going to be
and I can't see
one
them doing it.
Primarch with a retinue,
Could be Primarch with a retinue, or
they're going to release them like all in a
collection.
collection.
Yeah.
Like, they'll do, like, Loyalists.
Yeah,
And
Loyalists
then,
and
like, a
traitors.
box of Loyalists and a box of Traitors.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can see that being an option, but
That would be quite a big box, though. I wonder if they...
It would-
I
it
don't
would
think...
be
It
tiny.
wouldn't be that big.
it'd be tiny.
The infantry scale.
It would,
It'd
yeah.
have the same size as like an infantry box.
The problem with that actually would be it would be too tiny. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be smaller than a standard infantry box.
They could. Yeah, because it would only be like...
It's essentially a dreadnought. It'd be like the size of one dreadnought. Oh,
Oh wow, yeah, that is tiny.
They could do it as a battle group.
you could do it as a
A
battle
box. And then that's reusing sprues that already exist.
With like, so like it would come with the Primarch and then like a specialist unit.
Well, you do
So, like a small army,
So
basically.
you do like a sprue that is Primarch and let's say Terminator Guard, and that's what you run, okay? And then you then get a box, and it's a box that is themed for each of the Primarchs. So you go, here is your Alpha Legion box, and it comes with a bunch of units which are kind of vaguely Alpha Legion-y themed. I'm not sure what you have there. Here's your Jagatai Khan. Here's a bunch of bikes and some tanks and some land speeders and stuff like that. And like there is just a box that is just like a theme around each one of them.
I tell you what, because one of the issues is a lot of the boxes they want, they're going to want rebuyability in a lot of them. But there's one type of box that they don't necessarily want, or necessarily expect you to buy more than once. It's a starter kit.
Yeah. So they
So
can
Legion
include them.
starter kit, where you
Well,
basically,
start-
like you're saying, but instead of being a big battle group, it's literally just like, a 50, well, not 50, probably like £100 box-ish, maybe less.
Yeah.
Probably a lot less. Where you just get like a basic Legion's army that's roughly 500 points
'Cause
that
if-
includes a Primarch.
Yeah, because if you think along that lines as well, by the time they sort of release Primarchs, they're probably going to diversify into some slightly more unique units for the various different factions, even if it is only like, I don't know, guard retinues and things. So like, then that would be like, oh, you get your Emperor's Children starter kit that has your Fulgrim, has your Phoenician Guard, stuff like that. Like,
It would be original program as well, wouldn't it?
yeah.
In all its glory.
How many knights do you get in a box?
Depends on the box.
How many Questoris knights do you get in a box? 3 per box.
The Ceres. Oh my gosh, that came up wrong.
And the Cerastus are 2.
Yeah,
No,
they're
no.
4.
No, depends on the box.
I
Lancers
think
are in 2. Acheron and Castigator come in 2s. Two lots of 2.
Okay. That size box,
Yeah.
4 Primarchs.
It's still way too big a box.
Fulgrim, Angron, Mortarion, Magnus. All ascended. Because
That's
Fulgrim Ascended is out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're still tiny compared to Knights. We've seen that model, it's tiny. It's less than half the size of Questoris.
I'm just thinking like how big Magnus is compared to like a Questoris. How big Angron is compared to a Questoris.
Angron's about 70% the size. Magnus is kind of the right size, but that's with the wings.
Yeah.
Oh, blimey, yeah.
You probably might be able to figure it out. It might work.
Yeah.
It would be a very small box.
Either way, to come back to like order of release, almost definitely would have to be Horus first, right?
Okay, that's whether they're releasing them individually. Or
Yeah, if they were to release them individually,
Yes.
almost definitely
No.
Horus first.
No, I reckon it would be 2 of them. If we're going to go with based off of releases,
Yeah.
it's 2 of them, and it's Mortarion and Rogal Dawn.
Why did you say that?
Because every single piece of art for Legions is based off of the Death Guard army.
Death Guard
And Imperial Fists.
Yeah.
It's Sons of Horus.
No, it's Death Guard.
No, it's not.
The box is up there. I can see that box, and that's a Death Guard colour scheme.
Yeah.
It depends on the box.
The Stark Titan box is
No, the Star Connector box is Sons of Horus.
you're going to be money on that.
Oh, actually, no. I'm thinking of 30 Cal.
Yeah,
Maybe
it's
Death Guard.
definitely Death Guard. It's the Colored
Mortarion and
Hands.
Rogal Dawn.
It's the Pallid Hands colour scheme, isn't it?
Mortarion, Rogal Dawn.
It would make sense then.
It makes no sense in terms of law.
No,
It's made
but
metaphor.
if those are the hints that they've been dropping.
Nah.
I don't think they'll do them individually.
They won't do them individually. Yeah, there's no. They just won't.
They could genuinely just do them as dual boxes. Because there's enough to do with 2.
Yeah.
They could.
Yes, again, there's an issue. There's an issue around around like selling and things like that, like rebuyability. But you're only ever going to buy one Primarch, so why not sell you two?
I almost feel like it would be almost similar to just go, here's the 9 lawyers, here's the 9 dragons, go for it.
But again, as you said, that box is too small.
Still going to be small.
I suppose,
Actually,
actually,
blister packs.
Well, no.
They're going to bring back the blisters.
The blister packs are still there. To be fair, there's still character
I don't
packs.
think they ever make them. They don't make many.
There's still some. Because the end of 9th edition Lieutenant is a blister pack. Yes. Because I've looked at that kit a couple of times. You could bulk it out, actually, because you could do Loyalist, Traitor, Primarch boxes. And then they come with their Terminator Guard as well. Every single one comes with their Terminator Guard, or actually, they just come with Terminator Guard. So you just come
Terminator Guard.
Generic.
Yeah, and then generic, and then you...
I mean, to be fair, that would kind of go against the whole thing of like they've all got like a little bit of a unique element to each of their Terminator Guard, but just do that.
It's interesting. I'm not sure. We could probably sit here and speculate for hours.
But again, actually, the element of like they say, "Oh, it'd be really interesting to see Primarchs," but none of the Primarchs are plastic, and that is one of the big things. Is everything that is in plastic is coming out, and none of the Primarchs are plastic. Well, yet, but the latest Primarch that they released still isn't plastic.
Yeah, true.
And that's been released since the whole move away from resin. So it could be, it could just be, yeah, it'd be really cool if there were Primarchs.
Yeah,
And that's where it ends.
Maybe, but yeah.
Because I imagine there's this conversation has been had of like, how do you sell Primarchs at that scale?
I don't know. I think it'd be fools not to.
I think that absolutely, but I just could see it being.
I would err on the side that would be very unlikely.
They all come riding tanks.
Well, we know one should be riding a bike at least.
Yeah.
No,
And
he doesn't get a bike. Just really to rub it in for the White Scars players.
No,
That you don't get a character on a bike.
No. If you want to really rub it in, he doesn't get a bike, but Angron gets to ride a battleship.
Well, Tyrion gets a bike.
No, because in the lore, Angron rides a battleship. Literally, Demon Primarch Angron is riding the Conqueror on the hull towards Terra.
I mean, that's because they had to put him outside because he wouldn't behave himself.
That's not my point. That's how you stick it to the White Scars.
Yeah, they just get the entire.
They get a battle
That's
pass.
That's how you make it reasonable. You get Angron
And a battle bar.
and the Conqueror. That's the only way.
Each one with their flagship.
No, just Angron.
Oh,
Just
just
Angron gets
Angron.
the Conqueror. You sell Sanguinius and you get the entirety of Samus? No.
That's a demon.
Yeah, that's what I mean, is like, you get the demon that he was fighting at the end.
Oh, Commander.
Oh.
Yeah.
You get Horus and the Emperor.
And the Emperor.
Do you know what? I did actually think, wouldn't it be so cool if they finally released a model of the Emperor
don't think they
in
ever will.
Legions?
I don't
You
know,
don't think they'll ever...
Not as a player.
Whatever.
But
No.
I think they might actually make one day.
Like, as a collectible, they've got to.
not as a player.
No. 'cause
It'd be...
how would you know?
I'd probably see them doing like a deal with Weta Workshop
Yeah.
for like a bust or something.
Like a physical, yeah.
I don't think that's a playable model. You're right. Okay, right. Anyway, let's not continue on the line of Primarchs because I think that could go on for literally hours.
Yeah.
Discussing how that might happen. I think there's one thing that we've all not. Well, I think there's one thing that is quite obvious that we haven't come across or haven't read about that I think GW will do.
There's one that I know GW will do. Because I've spoken to people who've said that they're going to do it.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what.
On yours.
I'm gonna say demons.
I was going to say demons.
Yeah.
So yeah, demons.
Yeah, I cannot see them not doing demons at some point because
They're too fun.
they're too fun. They did exist in the heresy, and they became more and more prevalent as the heresy went on. So, and particularly if they ever do like a Siege of Terror campaign supplement, which you know at some point they're going to do.
Oh yeah.
They need them. They need to be there.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone's going to not want to see rank upon rank of blood letters piling over, barricades and going into the Astartes battle lines and causing chaos.
Yep.
So I think Demons is pretty much a dead cert.
Almost definitely, yeah.
Okay, so we're more or less agreed then in terms of like models and stuff. We kind of mentioned like Xenos probably aren't going to be done by Games Workshop.
Yeah, probably
Are there any sort of, before we move on to the sort of community and progression from outside the Games Workshop, is there anything we might hope to expect or see in terms of rules or rule support from Games Workshop? Beyond obviously what I would imagine is going to come out at some point, which is another supplement.
I think I would like to see, it's probably a bit of a stretch, but like placeable terrain.
Okay.
Have units have an ability to set up like barricades and things.
Okay.
Not sure which units, but like some units of guard, etc., can like set up a little fortification type thing.
Jump off that kind of idea, like is it the tarantula batteries that you can take, like purchasable fortifications.
So the other thing 40k can't get right.
Yeah, because in Legions you're almost encouraged to make sure you keep that home objective. Like it is your in at least the handful that I played.
Yeah, you've been playing with us though, where we don't use stick objectives because the entire game is built around stickers. You don't have to stay in the zone.
But there's benefits to stay in your, like, from at least what I've seen, it's like a lot of the no man's land and your home is what's important.
No, it tends to be your no man's land and your opponent's deployment zone.
But either way, I feel like
there's definitely
especially with the fact that there is whole systems blowing up buildings, having like I can build my little fort back here is something that would be very cool.
Yeah, and even like when you garrison in a building, if you could set up like a little, we're going to set up a load of barbed wire so it's harder to charge us inside the building, like stuff like that.
Okay. I could definitely see Games Workshop thinking about potentially doing fortifications in Legions. They tried it in 40k.
And I feel like somewhere I heard that the Hammerfall bunker was brought into Legions.
Why?
I remember seeing something of like you could take the Hammerfall bunker in Legions, like as in like not Legions in.
I'm sure I would have known
in
that.
Horus Heresy.
Oh, okay. I've never heard that.
I'm sure the thing. I'll have to look that up.
I'm sure that must be right.
Because the joke was being, it was like, no, it's always been here.
I mean, it might be.
More secondaries, or more options for secondaries.
Yeah, I could definitely see them.
Because, especially from when we've been playing, I feel like there's not enough option for what you have, for what you can gain at the end of the game. I feel like primary is pretty, self-explanatory. It's pretty similar to 40k, which is, the further you are away from your...
Not always true.
Well...
Don't go down that line.
Well, basically, scoring objectives.
You score primaries on objectives.
And that's...
The way phrasing
yeah, that's good. That's, I like that. That's pretty cool. That's, that's each round. But I feel like there needs to be more challenge when it comes to secondaries. I feel like they need to put a little bit more in that area so that it feels more, even just for like narratively speaking, like I don't feel like there's enough option for like a narrative, really. Not that's just my opinion, but that is definitely because other than that, I think I'm good with the rules and stuff. I don't think there's really anything that I would want to see other than that.
Well, there's definitely some scope for some more secondary.
Definitely.
So
And I will be bringing that up again later.
I'd like to see from a list building perspective is more HQ options.
Yeah.
Just across the board, like with the starties, like I'd like to have here is your like you do like a HQ that's your standard infantry, a HQ that's Terminators, a HQ that's on bike, a HQ that's in a tank, like
Yeah.
I wasn't going to take that one. I figured there'd be an entire phase that you would want to be bringing up. I'll leave that then. But like, and you know, like with Guard, like on foot commander, the one that I was looking at and being like, I would really love to see this, and I think you'll agree, a flyer HQ. So you could do, here is my entire airborne division, and I have a HQ that is this flyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm imagining like for Guard, it's like squadron HQ flyer that like conveys something like, you know, almost like kind of like tactical advantage. As long as that HQ's on there and it like paints a target on the leader, whilst the rest of them kind of like almost a bit like, you know, like the Baron mechanic.
Yeah, and actually, I think that actually ties into something I spoke about on a live stream actually not that long ago. Was that Game Structure has already given us the mechanic to do that in a way. It's also broken it as well, which annoys me. It's because the Astartes now have technically the ability to take a tank commander.
Yeah,
but there's no tank commander model specifically made.
No.
You just take a model from another unit. But what that does in terms of models for your collection is that, well, I've now got to take a model and put it into a HQ slot, which now means I can't take the number of models I'm allowed to take in the unit, because they all come in pairs, generally.
Yeah.
It's very annoying.
Yeah.
But there is a cure for that solution, or problem, because it already exists in the base game before that rule was added. Guard, or the Solar Auxilia. Certain detachments, you just upgrade a model to a tank commander.
Yeah.
For 10 points. Yeah. Simple as that. If they rolled that out as a more universal rule, so that say, or with certain detachments or whatever, you could just say, right, in these detachments, if you take X number of units, instead of a HQ choice, you can upgrade a model from a unit to be a tank commander, or an air commander, or a Terminator commander.
Tank commander.
I will say that there is a rule for that in the fan-made Eldar one.
Okay.
With the tanks.
And that still works in terms of models, because you can say, oh, okay, I'm not necessarily taking a HQ model, I'm just upgrading a unit of tacticals to be a commander, and I'll just use the commander model.
Mm-hmm.
Or the other approach that you take with that is when you take them as a HQ, you can build them as a unit.
Yes, that would be another way of doing it, yeah.
It's like, okay, you don't take a single base as a commander, you take X.
Yeah. So either of those kind of work.
Like, it couldn't go, say, above 2, for example.
Yeah. Either way you work it, I think that would kind of... It would solve the issue, I think.
Yeah.
And those are already rules that exist, theoretically, in Legions.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that... I agree with. I'd like to see whether they get around to doing that themselves or not.
I just like to see kind of more options for... Because, like, especially building, like, a Astartes list, I go, I'm always going to have to think about that I have to have that HQ. Even if it doesn't, like, fit with everything else, I always have to have that HQ there.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, I think potentially, I mean, we could probably use that as our segue point to say, well, maybe that's a rule we can add.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll be part of our Mead Hall compendium of rules editions, is that actually, let's not worry about taking models. Let's say in the detachment you pay 10 points to upgrade a unit within one of the detachments. And maybe we specify it has to be one of the core choices as well. So one of your core detachments must be upgraded to a commander for 10 points.
Yeah. I'd also like to, and this is another, on that element of that kind of segue across, I'd like to see, and I don't know whether I would, but an impact around losing a HQ. I feel like that probably comes up maybe more in Solo Auxilia, having not played them personally. But
I mean, it does limit some of your options for using orders, but that's about it.
But like a consequence for like losing a HQ.
Yeah.
Which is actually a mechanic that you brought in to 10.
Yes, it is.
Which was a very good mechanic. Like it encouraged you to go like, okay, who is your warlord? This is going to have an impact upon losing them.
Yeah. I think that would be. It would be nice to see if GW did that, but again, as you say, that is something we maybe can look into. There could be a case of maybe we introduce the idea of a warlord, or maybe we just keep it to the formation level, so that the commander of the formation goes down. That has a further impact on the way things work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. As far as I know as well, a lot of I don't think I've seen a unit in the game that has a leadership of less than 4. I think. In fact, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything that's less than 3. So, in theory, the only ways to get minuses to leadership at the moment are through a very, very specific psychic thing, which only exists on one model. Because there's only one psychic model in the entire game.
We didn't actually come to you in terms of what you would like to see.
That is true. Good segue to go back, so to speak. But I'll continue this line of thought first. There's one. You can also take a -1 if your formation is broken.
Mm-hmm.
And did I say there was 3 or 2? I've lost track of where I was. I think it's only 2.
Yeah.
I think there's a very specific edge case where you can take a -1 to your leadership thanks to a psychic ability and to having a broken formation. Which means if I'm right, and there's only 2 ways, all units have at least a leadership of 3, then you could implement another method of take a -1 to a leadership test if your commander dies. Therefore, you're still passing pretty much everything, potentially passing on 3 to 6. Maybe. I don't know if that would break the game or not. So something to think about.
Yeah.
It could. One way that you could implement it is that the commander counts as more models for purposes of like broken detachment.
You could, but then you'd have because the broken rules, they're quite tight.
Yeah.
Even you'd have to like make it count as quite a few models to make it impact. I'm not sure about that one.
Yeah.
I have the idea, but I don't know that it will work.
Yeah.
All right, let me circle back a little bit, as you pointed out, because there is something that I'd like GW to bring back, and I don't think they will. But
or bring into.
Technically bring into. I'm getting a little bit of cross wires there because they took it away from me in 10th edition.
Oh, I know what this is now.
I want a psychic phase.
Yeah.
I want a psychic phase.
Yeah, of course you do.
I mean, I get where you're coming from, because it was a big shock when they took it away from 10th.
Yeah, and there's a lot of potential in what you can do with psychic powers and have some fun with it. And I think in Legions as well, you can get pretty crazy with like having some of these epic psychics doing epic things.
Yeah.
Imagine linking back to the whole Primarch scenario. Imagine seeing Magnus in epic scale. Yeah. He will literally be one step lower than what it would be like to watch the Emperor on the battlefield.
Yep.
How amazing would it be to watch this thing just obliterate formations at a time with psychic power?
And I mean, if they're going to bring in demons, then they're going to have to find a means of bringing in more psychic.
Yeah, they're going to have to.
I think as well it would be really cool to have units of psychers that can generate like really big powers.
I mean, you could have like for Astartes, you can actually have like a Librarius cohort almost. Or,
yeah.
Like led by an epistolary or whatever they are in the other levels of librarians. A little group of psychers. You've got the sanctioned psychers of the Imperial Guard, whatever they have in their Auxiliary, I don't know, but hey, they can be retconned. Little psychic units for the infantry. The only psychic unit that exists in the game, I cannot believe I'm saying this, is a Titan.
It is kind of nuts.
The only psychic unit currently in the game is a Titan Psyker. Which is also one of the rarest things in the galaxy, as far as we know. So, the fact that that's the only thing in the game that even has reference to being psychic is insane.
Yeah.
And obviously I can make them straight away.
Of course you have.
Naturally.
So yes, I'd like to see an actual psychic phase.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll see that anytime soon.
I think it would be very cool. I think the idea of having just these massive powers.
All I'm going to say, if they do it though, I really want them to do it in the old fantasy way of doing it, where you get a pool of dice that you can use to cast.
Yeah.
And actually do it like a magic system, like they had in old school fantasy.
I guess we'll have to see, really.
No, we won't have to see. I'm going to write rules for it.
You don't have to.
I know I don't have to, but it probably doesn't do it the exact way I want, so I'm probably going to
It does do it with the pool of dice.
Okay, I'm already getting sold. But we'll see. Yes,
I'm skipping ahead.
yes. We will definitely be either looking to incorporate someone's work or make our own version of it, without a doubt.
Or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I want to do is move on to what we would like to see the community do.
Yep.
But before we do that, we're going to do a really quick run through of everything we've already done. So I'm going to point this out to you guys now. We're not going to go into detail. Number 1, time.
Yep.
Number 2, I will make a document and release this all to you eventually, and you will see them in videos eventually. So that's not a problem.
Quick
Yep.
fire.
So quick fire.
Go.
New units. We've already got Stormbird,
Mm-hmm.
okay, which already has rules written for it. We already have plans for several other units already. We've got specialist units for Night Lords, a Comrade, a Primarch. We're already looking at potentially demons, demon engines, demonic titans. We've already incorporated an Eldari community-made codex.
Mm-hmm.
We've already read a Tyranny as well, but we're running it for the time being. I've currently just finished writing a whole set of tactical style secondaries. Tactical as in what's used in 40k, so shifting objectives secondaries. Looking at new missions as well. We have modified how the morale phase will work at several points as well. I mean, it's not a phase, but the way the fallback and morale works, we've modified a couple of different ways, some of which you guys haven't heard or seen yet, but we'll go through that another time.
You will like it, I promise.
Here we go. I'm trying to remember anything else we've got that we've changed.
Crons.
We've also we've also started making crons lists as well, and rules for that, which I have to say we've run them a couple of times with a couple of you now. Actually, they kind of work. So we're kind of liking those. Have we got any other things off the top of my head?
Was fallback wrapped in with the morale?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I mean, technically, my Eldar list incorporates the psychic stuff.
Yeah, so we've potentially got some psychic stuff there to have a look at.
Yep.
I don't know, there's loads of stuff. We've got quite a lot already. I mean, I'm going to be writing rules for an Imperator Titan at some point in the near future. There's going to be quite a lot, okay, that we've already talked about, we've already started to go. If I think of any more, I'll point it out as we go through.
Yep.
So, not including everything I have just mentioned, what would we like to see from the community? Or would we potentially like to look into that you haven't already discussed with me in the past? I can see your hand there, so I'm going to go to you first.
Orbital bombardments.
That was not what I expected you to say. Because I was going to make a joke and jump in and say Xenos, like just to spite you. I did. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I would love just like maybe you take it as like a points thing, and you can just call it in at some point during the game.
Sorry, just remembered one. Basically, a fortification idea that I came up with ages ago, before this was even mentioned, is a void shield generator that you can plug into your deployment zone.
Yeah.
I also know another one.
Oh, go on then.
Plasma.
Oh yes, modification to plasma. primarily plasma guns on Titans, but definitely looking at plasma all across the board because most plasma guns in the game are not that good.
Yeah.
Didn't you also create rules for
That's
Well,
Chrome.
We've gone over.
Oh, right, okay.
So
Sorry.
back to your idea.
Back to orbital bombardment. Quick thing. It has been in the game already. Not in Legions. In Epic,
In Epic.
you could buy ships and they would sit in orbit and bombard down.
Yeah, I think that would be...
And do you know
So
what that
cool.
means you could bring out?
Hmm?
The blast templates.
Exactly.
They're in the box, and they're not really being used.
There are a few occasions where they're not used. That is one of my changes to some of the
Just a
plasma
big old line. Big old line that you pop down some templates on.
Blast template and scatter dice
Absolutely.
for orbital bombardment.
So what you're potentially presenting there is not just the orbital bombardment necessarily, but also the concept of maybe being able to buy in abilities.
I don't think go crazy with it because
No.
I don't want like stratagems level
No,
things.
no, but potentially you've got an option there to sort of. I mean, there could even be like a hard cap on it, like you can buy one of these things.
Yeah.
So yes, you've got the orbital bombardment idea. It's like you buy this, and it's either a once per battle round system or once per game system.
It would almost work a bit like enhancements in 10, or just general enhancements that will. What are they called now? Was it enhancements? War tricks, yeah. Whatever. But just like a thing you could buy, if you've got some points, you need to get some more points up.
Yeah.
You'd be like, we're going to do 2001 game off, not quite up to 2,000 points. Whack this on, and you can have, like, at some point, it's not going to give me any, presence on the board, but it's going to give me a thing that I could call in.
To be fair, that's actually a really good point, because the amount of times I've got to a point, usually a point, more too many times, where I've only got a few points left and I can't have anything in.
Yeah.
Particularly when I like to run lots of Knights and Titans, it becomes very difficult to
Yeah.
get those little point boosts in. So yes, I think, and that's kind of what I'm saying. There should be. We can start with the idea of the orbital bombardment, but maybe have a few options.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Of things that can affect the game that doesn't require a model or representation.
Yeah.
Represent.
Bit more abstract, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure off the top of my head what some of those other things could be. I mean, the orbital bombardment's a nice, obvious one. I mean,
I was going to go with, it could be one that springs to mind is trying to think of the right kind of wording around this, but a warp infusion on troops. They get a little bit of a bonus to them, then or the equivalency on the other side. They've got some warp shenanigans are taking place. They're a little bit stronger. They've got a little thing that's going to be taking place on them.
yeah. There's a lot of thought to be going into some of these potential ideas, but yeah, I think some kind of purchasable army ability, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, that could be it. It's an army ability. It's one thing.
Yeah.
It's like,
And it could be this one is once per game. This one lasts for the entire game.
Yeah.
This one occurs blah whatever.
You can even think of something that's factions. You could have some generic ones and then have some faction specific ones.
You could
I don't know, you have particularly good sort of fortification for Imperial fists or something like that.
in fact, I've just had a little thought there. Yeah, your orbital bombardment. That's a generic one because everyone has spaceships in some way, shape, or form, which is a big blast template. You fire it once per game or once per turn and ends up out of it. But then you get a smaller version out for the Solar Auxiliary, which is long-range artillery strikes.
Yeah.
Which is just
Small.
bombardment.
That's the thing I was going to say about it.
Okay.
No, just in terms of just artillery in general.
But yeah, anyway.
Artillery. Basically, I want artillery to work like they worked in Armageddon, where it was a artillery points that you use to build up a bombardment template.
Oh, okay, I get you. Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, because I've just been using Basilisk in games, and they work fine. But they don't work that way. They just work shooting attacks.
Yeah.
Say on that one, I know, again, this is the one we sit down and kind of go through, but say about that idea of just the Imperial Fist one, the specialist one for the Imperial Fist is buildings are tougher.
Yeah.
They just dig in. If you've got Imperial Fist units in a building, that building's suddenly tougher.
necessarily have to be anything too like massively flashy.
No.
Just like something that will be like, this is a thing that I want to pop on my army.
Yeah, I think
I do
that's
like
a good idea.
purchasable army ability. Sounds good.
Yeah, I like it. It's quite good, and it does give you a little bit of flexibility as well, in terms of what you can add in flavour wise as well,
Mm-hmm.
and potentially the narrative. Okay, cool. I like that. What's going next?
So,
What would you like to see added to the game, maybe? That could be anything because we're not relying on Games Workshop to say that it. Could be a unit, could be a rule, could be an army.
if you know it, I can jump in the show.
I mean, if they brought out, like, Night Lords, that would be fun.
Okay, kind of what it is.
Yeah.
But
No, I know. I think, like, I've literally written more options with 2 exclamation marks right, like, down here. I want just more. Just give us more.
Just more.
Just more. I feel like we're so limited at the moment. That's all. I feel like there's like, especially like fires and stuff and transports and
depending on what you want to do, I don't think we're limited. It just very much depends on what factions you're running and what you want to do. I think actually, particularly if you're happy with the Imperial side of things, there's so many options. I mean, I haven't even got half the units in the game, and I've still got loads of stuff I can buy.
I got a couple.
Go on then.
I'll do my 2. They're might come under 3. I'll go the easy one. For both sides of it, for both Solar Auxilia and Marines, more weapon options. Just flat out, just easy addition. Give everything like, and yes, it probably exists, and yes, it's going to come at some point, but it wouldn't take that much to probably write some rules for being like, I can take a load of Volkites on my Marines, have a guard unit that has a bunch more. I can't remember what the other ones they've actually got out are. I know they've got
They've only got the flaming axes.
but one out from the so like both factions get a Volkite thing. Rotary cannons on the Astartes, like basically just more
Special weapon teams.
basically just all the special weapons. That's my first kind of easy one of just like everything gets more special weapons, and the special weapons actually mean something. I would honestly almost like to see within our kind of like adjustments in terms of points and things like that is make either missiles more expensive or plasmas less expensive, or make plasmas mean something. Because I look at the two things and I'm like, why would I ever take plasmas?
My as I said previously, I mean the plasma weapons across the game just a lot weaker than they should be, and for the majority of them, I find it's like vehicles and up. The really easy answer is just to say put a blast template on it, done, and it actually becomes viable then, because it then gains the scatter rule and stuff like that, so it balances itself really nicely. I still haven't worked out how I do that for the infantry level plasma though.
The other one would be infantry. The infantry having las cannons. It's basically just special weapons. So that's more for Astartes. For mine specifically, for word bearers, having some kind of like ascension kind of mechanic of like, or like they start out as one thing, they get transformed. You go from they started out as tactical, they've got some mechanic of like they suddenly turn into the Galborback kind of thing.
Yeah, or randomly turning into Chaosborn.
Randomly turning, like basically,
or randomly in the middle of the game ascending to Demonhood.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or just occasionally, just like, oh no, it went wrong. What portal appears?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Just some kind of like that measure of shenanigans, and then the third one, which is kind of the specialist weapons, but I feel like I like the idea. I don't know how it'd work. Is the breach teams and having something with those shields meaning something, and especially with the fact that it's a game that already has like directional elements to it.
Yeah, and I've also recently playing Knights now realised that ion shields only work in fun.
Oh.
Yeah, you don't get an ion shield save from it.
So yeah.
There is a precedent to say that you could have an invuln save that only applies in fun.
Yeah.
There's a joke there. Look, I'm not going to make it.
But yeah.
I think I understand why there are more special weapons though. It would be nice to see, but I do. The ones that they've got are the ones that are most visually different.
But I would argue that las cannons would be visually different.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some rotary cannons, heavy bolters. I could prove heavy bolters because I've got some.
Yeah.
I just like to see more options there of things that people could potentially take as specialist weapons and have those specialist weapons mean something as well.
I do definitely think that they would be easy enough to tell. I just can see why they've chosen the ones that they have.
Yeah.
But again, that might just be the start. We could see like another infantry box come out, and I think we're going to, because there are several points in the book that reference there will be other core options, which means that there's likely to be another core infantry box that would then probably come with more Terminator types and more heavy weapon types.
Yeah. On foot assault. Because they're only jump pack. To be fair, they're jump pack. Like, they're still going to do the job.
They can do desolator based infantry box. Which then comes with your Volkite team and your las cannon team and the Tartarus Terminators instead.
What's the? It's like, it's not. I don't think it's Desolator. It's the ones that are like, they were like shunned because of like what they used. I can't think of what it is. It was like, they were like virus bombing places. Like it was like. No, they were like, it was like a specialist unit that like they all had.
I don't know. That one escaped me.
Can't remember. So I'll look it up. But yeah, they're my votes. More specialist weapons, weird demon warp-y shenanigans would be fun, and breacher units with a meaningful shield.
Okay.
Just shield in general.
Well, I definitely think that we will probably touch on all of those potentially.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty confident that we might cover that base. Full games version.
Yeah.
I do love the idea of just like a Starty shield wall.
It would be nice.
I mean, you get to write them, so you can add in.
This is true. I do tend to write the rules. Yeah, I don't know. There's so many options, really. I mean, to be honest, I'm not sure. I mean, a lot of the stuff that I've wanted to do, I've kind of already done or started to do.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing I'm definitely going to be doing next is new missions.
Mm.
I want to rewrite the way missions work. So, with the way I've written the tactical missions, or the tactical secondaries, I've written them in such a way that you won't need to score points on objectives for them to be valuable, because all the secondaries will at some point require you to interact with those objective markers. So my concept's going to be that the actual main missions, you won't score points for holding those points necessarily. They will just be part of the interaction with the secondaries. The actual primaries will focus on actions that you have to take. So that when you're for example, there might be a sabotage mission. So the attacker must get to the other side of the board and sabotage 3 pieces of area terrain.
Yep.
In order to win, or in order to score points. They score points based on how many they tag, and the defender gets the resultant points of whatever they don't tag. And then there might be another mission which is capture the flaggy timer. The defender has an object or an artifact in their deployment zone. The attacker's got to get into that deployment zone, grab the object, and get out. Stuff like that. So it's going to be more interactive, and you score based on that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, and that will be the concept. So that it's not just arbitrarily holding points now. It's actually the only time you're interacting with those points is because of those secondaries, which are already thematically themed.
Yeah.
Whereas the main objective is to do something.
An idea for the sabotaging one. Potentially having, like, some secret options. Like the others. Like, so you get to it, you have, say, 3 options. One of them's, like, plant a banner. One of them's, like, I don't know, smoke grenades. One of them's detonation. And then, like, if the opponent wants to take them off you, that's then the risk that they take. Like, a gamble as to what you've sort of left on that.
Right, okay. There could be something there.
Yeah.
Definitely could be some missions where you have a deceptive element to it.
Mm-hmm.
Could be
I think another thing to potentially kind of add into it, and looking a little bit from the new version of Kill Team, what they've done in terms of their scoring, is you've got 3 things that are occurring. You've got the main mission, you've got your secondary mission, which is your like tap off. Then you have your kill off, and all of them score you points. So you score points in the main mission, you score points from your secondary, which is only revealed when like a certain thing happens. So like you do this thing, now you reveal that this was the mission, this is your secondary mission all along. And then there's another one which is literally just based off of the number of starting units that you were up against, how many of them did you kill? There's then an extra thing which is kept secret until the end, which is which one of those were you really trying to do, and that gets an extra half the number of points that you scored. If you were secretly just focusing on the main mission, you get whatever points you scored on the main mission, plus half of whatever you scored. If you were secretly focusing on just trying to kill stuff, you get however many points you scored for killing stuff, plus half of those points again.
I guess it's an interesting idea, and I think it probably works in Kill Team, but I feel like that's going to be adding a level of complexity to an end of a long game that that would be my only point to that one. I think that's probably unnecessary complication for a game that's already more complicated than Kill Team. Yeah. But I like the idea. It's a cool idea, and I'm sure it works very well in Kill Team, but I think after you play 3 hours of Legions, you don't really want to be messing around with calculating that. Whereas my concept is somewhat you'll calculate as the game goes on, so you very much know straight away at the end of the last battle round you play, you're like, cool, that's how many points I got, game over.
Yeah.
Because I'm also eliminating, for the majority of them, you won't be calculating points at the end of the game, like with a lot of the secondaries. It's all the secondaries now progressive, and most of the primaries I'll be making will be progressive.
I think it is important when dealing with it, like by comparison to, or at least like the game that I've played of Legions, is it felt very much like in like Big Hammer, you end up with essentially one person running away and there's no catch up. I don't know, obviously you've played more Legions. Does it feel more balanced when it comes to the scoring, or is there still a case that there's always a case that somebody can run away with the points, but like in the games, from what you've played, are they more close every time, or is there like always a runaway winner who's like decided by like mostly decided by like round 2?
Well, most of the games are closer for more of the game, but generally once you hit to that 3 or 4, I'd say you pretty much know who's going to win, because.
Or turn 2 if you're playing against me.
Because the way the secondaries work, because they're all scored at the end, there's no progressive nature to them. You know exactly what you're doing straight away. You can kind of figure it out quite quickly. So the same as 4K.
Okay.
So yeah, I can't say Legions is better in that regard.
Okay, no.
I'm hoping the way I've changed it, it will be.
Yeah.
Especially as there's a random element to it as well.
Okay.
Okay. So, there's one particular thing I think I'd like to bring up.
Yep.
Which is not something that we would necessarily do, although we actually know, so like, that is something that we probably, I say we, probably me, will do, but it's very much based on something that someone else has already done. And I know it's something that you particularly are very keen to try out in 40k. And that's a horde mode.
Ah, yes.
something like a horde mode in Legions would be really cool.
Yeah.
It does seem like a great way to teach new players how to play a game and stuff like that.
Yep.
Potentially, again, someone like me who's got 10,000 points of models can say, "Hey, come and borrow this part of my army and let's fight against the other armies that are there."
Yep.
And you can teach someone how to play a game really easily that way.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that has been, obviously made by Warhammer, which
Yep.
hopefully you guys are all watching, because we certainly do. Well, I know me and you do.
Mhm.
So that would be, that's something that they've already done and they've done really well. And from what I've seen, I haven't tried it yet. I'm sorry if you do watch this. I am sorry, I haven't tried it yet. I really want to. But I think the benefit is just as much as it's benefit for you.
Yeah. I think the horde mode you can't go wrong with it.
So I think that's a really good one to look at.
Yep. Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I'd be intrigued to see how it would feel in Legions by comparison.
The thing I was struggling with when brainstorming it in my own little world is how orders work, or how to make orders work.
Yeah.
What, because you're playing against an AI, or?
Not because you're playing against the AI, it's because how would the AI make that choice? What decision making process
Right, okay.
do you do to make?
I think you just kind of go with basically like a flowchart list thing, but that is one that requires more than we can sit down and figure out in this section.
Oh yeah, no, I don't want to sit here and work it out, mainly because I don't have time to write rules.
But yes, in terms of it, horde mode for Legions, having a PvE system, I will say, briefly going back to Kill Team, they've recently introduced a PvE system into Kill Team. Don't make it that one.
I won't take my inspiration from there.
Don't take your inspiration from that one.
No, I was very much going to take it from the Warhammer guys anyway.
Yep, I would.
And I feel safe in doing that as well, because they even say go ahead and make your own community versions of these modes. So.
Somebody's been doing one for Age of Sigmar. It's not hard.
No.
Because Age of Sigmar is like...
Well,
Already.
Tabletop Tactics have made a version which is called Hero Mode. Have you seen that yet? No. Which is basically where every player gets a character.
Yeah.
Versus a horde.
Oh,
And you see how long it
that's
lasts.
fun.
I played that one that somebody has made for Kill Team. But that one is very much like you are literally, it is one against, like, or in this case, two against many. But it had a system, which is actually a really good system that they came up with, which is like, as you get kills or as you like collect stuff around the field, you basically get points that you can spend to upgrade. So it has weirdly almost like a COD Zombies feel of like you're getting points to then you're getting stuff to then spend around to get upgrades that will then mean you can last longer in the fight and things like that as the fight gets harder.
You know what we should do? Do the hero mode, but with the Demon Primarchs.
Oh god, what, teaming up together, or?
Yeah, but that means we have to have a massive
You
horde.
need so many models.
Because the hero mode amps up the heroes, as you can imagine, so that... like,
No,
4
it's just hero
heroes
mode,
can
but
fight.
it's just 4 Primarchs fighting.
I mean, to be fair, we could... Actually, that would work, actually. You could just have the 4 Primarchs, that's 2,000 points.
Yeah.
And just put a 2,000 point army against them.
Just a wave assault of 2,000 points.
I suppose it could be done.
I'd print more than most for that.
Just go over there, just empty that cabinet onto the field.
I mean, that is one of the beauties about the horde mode as well, is that you're not faction locked.
No, you just roll on the table. So yeah, basically that.
So yeah, a horde mode is something I think I would like to see, and at some point in time I will try and endeavour to do. But sadly, that won't be for a long time. So if someone else wants to take that job on, please do. We will, if it's good, which I'm sure it will be. Not only will we use it, but I'm sure we'll showcase it as well.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
So yes.
So yeah, horde mode, yes. Next.
Next, well, there are some other things that I'd like to have a look at, or at least me or someone else can do, which is more interaction in terrain.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's one of the things I love about Legions is the terrain system is interactable to a certain degree. You can garrison buildings, you can knock them over. Titans, when they stride across most terrain, they just destroy it.
Yep.
Now, the key connection point there is it's all about destroying terrain, apart from the garrisoning, I suppose. But there are definitely, I feel like there's potential to make more interactive terrain. So one example that I've mentioned to you guys before, and I'll reference some of the video games now, which we spoke about in our previous podcast. So it's definitely in Space Marine 1, and I'm 90% sure there's examples of it in the background in Space Marine 2. There are some of these big Gothic buildings in these hive cities that have these colossal plasma cannons sticking out the top of them. And at some point I'm going to make some of these things for our Legions tables. But obviously we've got the garrison rules, so being able to garrison a building that has one of these big cannons on it, like, oh, suddenly my infantry squad has a Titan cannon that they can fire. Just sounds like a great thing to do.
Yeah.
For someone like yourself who doesn't even want to use Titans because you don't like them for whatever reason, you can just say, oh, okay, well, I'll just garrison this building that's got a Titan gun on it.
Yeah.
So that's just one little example of something that adds a bit more interaction with the table.
I was thinking of one for essentially tunnels. So you can garrison in one place and then they can pop up somewhere else.
That reminds me of another one.
I know what your next one's going to be then.
My train.
Yeah.
I've got I found a really cool file for like a printable terrain.
Yeah.
Train. Which is like a sci-fi train. Which I thought would be a really cool thing to have across the board. And it comes with like flatbed areas on it as well, so you can even like somehow imagine that they load tanks onto it and stuff, and you can literally just transport all your stuff across the table on a train. And then really annoy someone by walking a Titan through the track. So that you can't get very far. But yeah. That's tunnel systems.
Because you just have like basically like a entrance over here and then like a bunch of exits. And it takes like a turn and then they can pop out.
That would not be hard to do. It literally just makes some little like subway
I was gonna say subway, but I feel like but you're basically that.
Yeah, that'd be that's not only is that a great idea, that'd be really easy to implement as well. So that's quite cool.
Like only for infantry, but like they all go.
Only
pop up somewhere
that would
else.
definitely be an infantry only transport method. But I like it. That's cool.
I also love the idea of like the opposing factions doing it. And because you can't fight on the underlevel, there's just this awkward moment where they just got like shuffle past each other, being like, "There's no shooting down here, Mike. There's no shooting down here. All right, off you go." So they then pop up on the other side.
That'd be pretty cool. Although I don't know why, but that's just reminded me of another system I would love to write some rules for at some point, but it's going to require a lot more terrain.
Yep.
Legion scaleboarding actions.
Ooh.
That would require a lot more terrain.
It would require a lot more terrain. Well, I mean, it would require more terrain. I don't think it would require a lot more terrain.
Well, 3 flavor boarding actions as trench warfare.
Yeah, you could do trench warfare, but I'm more thinking about boarding actions because I like the idea of infantry-only engagements in starships where you can mess around with gravity mechanics and stuff like that.
Yeah, that sounds really cool.
Or my personal favourite from a completely different game system, a game system called Xenos Rampant, which has a boarding action game mode. However, if you miss, you roll the dice. And there is a chance that when you roll the dice, you essentially immediately decompress the room because you've blown a hole in the ship. And all the units within the space behind it, within a certain range, get sucked out. And all units that don't have, like, vacuum breathing just drop dead. So you can just miss shots, blow a wall out, have a load of people get sucked out into space, and then everybody else who's in the room is not going to be alive anymore as it rapidly depressurizes.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about, really, is having those kind of funky rules that just make an interesting game.
Yeah.
And also, because of the scale of 40k, which we've mentioned already, I think in this podcast, it would almost make sense to see these huge armies of infantry running around the board.
Yeah.
But again, we would scale it down a bit. We wouldn't be doing a 3,000 point game of this Legion's boarding actions. We'd do probably a 500 point game because it's only infantry anyway.
Yeah.
And the board would be a lot smaller board.
Do your flyers, are they magnetised to the base?
I mean, they're screwed on. So the raid come off.
So you
Flight
could
sim.
mitigate some of the making terrain by doing like hangars.
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the ideas I've got envisioning is you would have like hangar bays where you landing ships and stuff in it.
Yeah.
That's where like your big engagements might happen, where you got these big firefights going on. You could even do a mission where the mission is your flyers land in the bays and you do almost like a D-Day in space in a hangar compartment.
So we have two boards. We have the main board. There's a separate boarding action board up here, and if you can take the ship, you can take over the orbital bombardment system. Like you load up the flyers on here, and you fly them up to. At some point, it's just us stood around a table going, up to here. You'll get out. At some point, that's all we're doing. Is we're just essentially just playing. Just like little guys in the new flags.
I'm not gonna lie. At some point in time, if we ever get the space for it, we can build a studio on that. Let's do it. Let's build a let's build a 2-tier table with like a perspex clear plastic top, and make a little board layout for a little boarding ship.
Yeah. And then if you can take out the ship, it crashes.
Yeah, you can literally just have like the entire ship to crash land on the back.
Well, I'm sold. Yes. Yeah.
Sure.
All coming at some point in the next who knows how long.
Stay tuned. Subscribe.
Before the heat death of the universe.
Ooh.
Probably before Legions 2.5.
Maybe.
I mean, we haven't got to 2.0 yet.
Yeah.
Whichever one comes first.
Whichever one comes first.
Anything else?
I mean, that's more or less the kind of things I'm looking at that we haven't already discussed.
Cool.
So, anything else from anybody else?
No.
No, I don't think so.
I can't think of anything else.
You could start wrapping up.
You do a good job of covering all bases for us, I think.
You also spend a lot of time thinking about rules.
Yeah, you seem to think about it all, which is good. He's the brains. That's fine.
The rest of us don't retain rules.
Just haven't
I
played enough.
certainly don't. I'll just say that right now. But, yeah. Shall we
Okay, let's wrap this one up then. So we will head over to our round table and round it all up. See you in a moment.
Goodbye.
Welcome back to the final section of our round table. So, we've discussed today my extraordinarily large increase in models and paint jobs for Legions, which probably makes me sound like an absolute crazy person because I've done that in less than 6 months.
Well, I mean, you were always crazy before, but it just puts the icing on the cake, I think.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And we've also looked at Legions Imperialis in the last 6 months, what has been released, what we liked about it, and we've also discussed what Games Workshop may or may not do in the future.
Some reasonable predictions.
Mostly around factions that we think are likely to appear based on what's already been said, like the Custodes and Demons.
Yep.
And then we've also mentioned what we'd like the community themselves to kind of bring into the game as well. Whether that's in terms of rules or factions. I mean, we've skimmed over Xenos and stuff a little bit.
We have spoken we haven't spoken about them at length previously.
We have, indeed, many times. And
Check out our other videos for that.
and plenty of other rules options as well, and new units that we'd like to see and like to bring in. So please do go back and watch the rest of the video if you haven't watched the video up to this point and you randomly decided to join the video at the end. Some people won't do that, I heard. But no, if you've enjoyed what we've done and what we've spoken about, please do comment down below whether you agree with us, whether there's anything that we've missed, whether there's any rules you think might need changing or adapting or adding.
Or things that you'd like to see added in that we can steal.
Yeah.
Politely.
Specifically, Poor Hammer guys, if you ever watch this and want to, write the Horde mode for Legions.
Having followed their progression through writing the one Horde mode, I know the answer to that is no. Probably with a few more expletives thrown into there of how little they would want to write another set of rules.
But,
we're on our own.
Don't ask, don't get.
We're on our own on this one.
I know we're gonna have to do that one ourselves. But no, please do give us those thoughts and opinions down below.
Yep.
But other than that, please do like, subscribe, share, join us on all our social medias, and do remember that we do have weekly live streams over on Twitch, and they will also be recorded and delivered onto YouTube later as well. But until then,
Twitch.com/meadwargaming.
bad. Until next time, I've been Jay, your host here at Mead Hall Gaming, and I've been joined by
Joe?
Al.
And John.
Thank you very much once again, and we'll see you next time in the Mead Hall. Goodbye for now.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye!
Ta!